Red Bull are experiencing a period of total chaos, and Max Verstappen has decided to take a stance against his team and team boss Christian Horner. This shocking stance came to light as Max Verstappen showed support and liked a post from Giedo van der Garde calling confirmation of Liam Lawson's demotion closer to bullying or a panic, after allegations that Verstappen wasn't happy with Red Bull planning a driver switch. It's just the latest chapter of a story that started to unravel way back in 2024, when Horner was accused of inappropriate behavior. Ever since then, the Red Bull-Verstappen bond had been slowly deteriorating, and it now seems to have hit an all-time low. The car is bad, the team is not listening, and more focus seems to be on the second seat rather than fixing the car. What's next for the squad? Will Verstappen look for a move elsewhere? Or will Red Bull get it together soon? So, on Thursday, Red Bull announced that Lawson would return to Racing Bulls with immediate effect, with Yuki Tsunoda taking his Red Bull seat. That decision was taken just 2 races into the Formula 1 2025 season. Although Lawson admitted in Shanghai that his performances were not good enough, Red Bull's decision to fire him after just 2 races stunned many in the paddock. David Coulthard, Guenther Steiner, and others persuaded the team to give the New Zealander one more race, Suzuka, which he is familiar with, but they declined. Despite Lawson's problems, team principal Christian Horner attributed it to a duty of care to protect and develop him. He clarified, "We see that after such a difficult start, it makes sense to act quickly so Liam can gain experience, as he continues his F1 career with Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, an environment and a team he knows very well." Former F1 driver van der Garde has accused Red Bull of bullying and panic after Helmut Marko publicly called Lawson's promotion a mistake, and shockingly, Verstappen seems to agree with van der Garde. Van der Garde wrote on Instagram, "I'm getting a bit tired of all the comments that F1 is the toughest sport in terms of performances, and when you're under-deliver, you've got to face the consequences. Yes, you got to perform. Yes, the pressure is insane. But in my opinion, this comes closer to bullying or a panic move than actual high athlete achievements. They made a decision, fully aware, gave Liam 2 races only to crush his spirit. Don't forget the dedication, hard work and success Liam has put in his career so far to achieve the level where he is now. I remember my own blood, sweat and tears, and that was to reach F1, let alone driving for an absolute top team. Yes, he underperformed the first 2 races, but if anyone's aware of that, it's himself. Perhaps he has suggested this himself, but if not, I wish Liam all the strength and courage to get to the grid in Japan. Trust yourself, get your head up, prove them wrong." He tagged Lawson at the bottom of his post, but what's more noteworthy is that Max Verstappen liked it. The Red Bull driver's like follows allegations that the Dutchman was critical of Red Bull's choice to replace Lawson with Tsunoda. The Telegraph stated earlier this week that one can only guess what Verstappen himself thinks of Red Bull's management's decision to victimize Liam Lawson after only 2 races in favor of Yuki Tsunoda. The Limburger, where Max Verstappen is from, disagrees with the team management's decision to intervene so soon. It was mirrored by Britain's Daily Mail, which reported that sources close to Red Bull stated Verstappen was dissatisfied with Red Bull's antics. "It is totally unfair to treat Liam like this," said the unnamed contact. "You have to give him more than 2 races to prove himself after he has worked for this opportunity all his life. He may not have done well, no argument over that. But to ditch him so fast is seriously bad. It smacks of a team in chaos." According to insiders, the 27-year-old isn't thrilled with Red Bull's heavy-handedness because he worries it would ruin Lawson's developing career. While Verstappen has yet to formally comment on Red Bull's decision to drop Lawson, he did suggest at the Chinese Grand Prix that his teammates' issues could be down to the car rather than the driver. If you look at the difference between the 2 drivers from the other teams, they are all closer together, Verstappen told The Telegraph. "It also shows that our car is extremely tough. I think if you put Liam in the Racing Bulls car, he will go faster. I really think so. That car is easier to drive than ours. I also noticed that when I talked to Liam last year, I didn't think the difference between him and Yuki Tsunoda was that big. Otherwise, the team wouldn't make the choice to put him in at Red Bull either." Lawson is back at Racing Bulls, and Tsunoda is Verstappen's new Red Bull teammate. And that makes Yuki Tsunoda is the latest Formula One driver attempting to enter Max Verstappen's dangerous car and demonstrate his ability to handle it. Since Daniel Ricciardo's surprise exit at the end of 2018, Red Bull has struggled to find a competent second driver to accompany Verstappen. Alex Albon showed promise in late 2019 and early 2020, and Sergio Perez was a solid, short-term stopgap who was employed for much too long. But all four post-Ricciardo drivers have failed in some fashion, and none of them has faltered faster than Liam Lawson, a driver rated higher than Tsunoda by Red Bull. Lawson was a driver who Red Bull tried hard not to promote at times. It passed over his 2 strong years in Formula 2 in favour of Nick de Vries due to one brilliant cameo for Williams, brought Ricciardo back, and gave him plenty of time to thrive at Lawson's expense. So, if that's how Red Bull treated the driver it thought was a better fit to be Verstappen's teammate, despite only having 11 races under his belt, how low does it rate Tsunoda? What does this mean for his start at Red Bull? Is he already a dead man walking? After a rough rookie season in 2021, with glimpses of brilliance overshadowed by inconsistency, Tsunoda began to develop into a more polished midfield operator in 2022, alongside Pierre Gasly. So much so that after Gasly left, Tsunoda took over as team captain, sacking de Vries early in 2023 and generally outperforming Ricciardo over their 26 weekends together, therefore ending Ricciardo's chances of a second Red Bull term. He also compared favourably to Lawson. Only Red Bull has the complete data, but Tsunoda held a perfect Grand Prix qualification record versus Lawson across their 6 2024 race weekends together, despite Lawson's significant intra-team sprint qualifying wins in Brazil and Qatar skewing the final one-lap pace percentage in his favour. Tsunoda clearly has the advantage of significantly more experience, but he has been the most consistent second Red Bull driver since early 2023. His 2025 total of 3 points is completely out of proportion to his impressive start. After a difficult pre-season test, he has helped Racing Bulls position themselves with Williams at the head of the middle. Unfortunately, due to poor team performance, Tsunoda has missed out on a significant points payoff in both Grands Prix thus far, scoring only in the pit-stop-free China Sprint, where he finished 6th ahead of a Mercedes and a McLaren. That level of performance is very similar to what got Gasly and Albon promoted to the senior team. Tsunoda has taken longer to get there, which may have played a role, but keep in mind that his single-seater foundation was a fast-tracked 2 years in Japanese F4, followed by a single season each in Formula 3 and Formula 2. At first, it appeared like Tsunoda's appearance was a present to engine partner Honda. Then, beginning in 2023, he became a helpful benchmark for Red Bull as it tested its driver trials anew. And it appears that Red Bull has now understood that if all of these drivers are coming in and failing to reach Tsunoda's level, perhaps that level isn't that bad. And he's done everything he can to address the flaw that has prevented Red Bull from advancing him. So, can Tsunoda adapt to the extremely specific Red Bull that has churned out so many drivers that are incapable of doing what Verstappen can? That is the essential question, and we will only get the first proper answers at Suzuka. Tsunoda tested Red Bull's RB20 in post-season Abu Dhabi last year and was quick to add, "I didn't really struggle much to adapt." He went further. "On the long runs, I have been able to run consistently and straight away felt the limitations of the car, which if you don't have confidence in the car, you can't feel any limitations." However, it is worth mentioning that Lawson also drove the RB20, and his time in that car did not foreshadow his breakdown in the RB21. The RB21 is obviously not an easy car to get into. It's no surprise that Verstappen believed Lawson would be faster in the Racing Bulls than the Red Bull. He's completely correct. The Racing Bulls isn't faster than the RB21, but its peak performance is much more attainable. It's no surprise that Lawson leads Tsunoda in the early rounds of the Japanese Grand Prix weekend. Tsunoda's ability to make more early strides than Lawson will be critical in closing the deficit. The question is, will he be able to do it? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.